Addictions like porn and lust are not formed in a single day, and they take time to build up and settle within your subconscious, so don't expect it to go away as fast as well. And when you pick up these negative and filthy habits, it feels best at that moment. You literally release great amounts of dopamine whenever you commit to sin with your sight, with your eyes. And porn has the biggest dopamine hits out of all, or perhaps most of the daily activities that you could do in the real world. So this dopamine hit opens a loop so big that no real world activity could ever possibly feel or fit in its place. I doubt if you've ever noticed that you don't get addicted to real world activities like you do your screen. It's because the dopamine that you got from looking within your screen is way higher and bigger in a chunk than many pleasurable and positive real world activities all combined. Also, bear in mind that most of the negative habits and wronggoings in life are way more addictive and easier and pleasurable, way bigger in dopamine than the positive, impactful, and real-world activities and actions in real time. You will notice a consistent pattern of high dopamine ends coming from sinful behavior. It's the reason we are alive. It's a test. It makes perfect sense why life is a test. It's because this pattern exists, and sinful yet negative habits are way smoother to start than any good action. And the most positive actions are the hardest to start or even complete. It's slightly an uphill, and the opposite is entirely true. As well, it's downhill. It requires little to no effort at all, while the other asks you to push being exposed to something so high in dopamine and something so preserved makes the accident an experience your brain will never ever forget. So anytime you face something hard or just quite uncertain of a consequence, your mind will provide you with a few options. One of them, perhaps at the top of the list, will be this great dopamine release you had through porn. Now you have two options. You either face the hard at tasks and navigate through it and solve it, which is hard yet the real solution to your problem. The second preference of your brain is to use porn once more, to forget about the things which you're doing right now, because the brain is literally opened a loop bigger than all pleasurable activities in life. That's why many people get drunk after a bad day at work. It makes perfect sense. It's your brain preferring to change the sequence through a few viable options. But the thing is, only you know the result, the consequence, the feeling of regret, loss, and higher anxiety that at least stays for a long time. So now, your biggest and major problem is not the problem at hand. You forget it for quite a few hours until it really makes sense once more. And once you choose the second option of porn, it moves, its place, and swaps, its seat, with the first primary preference, which was to really solve the problem with a little thinking. And the more you do this option, the more further the real escape goes, to an extent where it really isn't preferred by your brain anymore. Because as humans, our brains are set for survival mode, not for pursuit mode, that which the 99% of the modern world demands if you want a great life. So, really, what you're doing is not a problem itself, but rather a solution to some deeper problem or problems filled in a way that destroys you rather than benefit. While also keep in mind that your brain starts to restructure the lenses of life through this new window of negative perspective, porn, that you have started to constantly expose yourself into. The eye is the window of your being. It has more effect on your inner self and outer living than you'd expect it to. Your sight is the most overpowered conscious act. You need to protect your eyes from being exposed to filth. Most people call out stating some irrelevant and wrong promises. They say, quit your porn addiction, which is again to say a pursuit of new failures and hammering your leg for no reason. See, you can only regress this problem at least for someone who has been through this pattern more than 3 times. So, how do you regress it? The way you've progressed it is the way you actually leave it. Not immediately, but certainly regress it. Distract yourself from the original loop of porn By starting and giving into the best work of your life immediately as you wake up, and follow up with a positive screen time by swapping your unplanned and random screen time, which asks for the highest level of dopamine near you, which is nothing but porn itself, and follow up with your night routine as soon as you're done with your screen. Going cold turkey immediately is going to have a drop in dopamine spike. You need to bring it down consistently over a period of time by consuming the right side of your screen. So swap entertainment for education. The way we can go about slowly regressing this loop of porn is by using a copywriting tech. The way we can go about slowly regressing this loop of porn is by using a copywriting technique called hook. For those of you who don't know that anything destructive and destructive in nature has a hook. The first 5 seconds, the first glance, the first attempt, the first thought, the first flashback, the first sound, the first second, the first minute, the first word, the first pop-up, the first image. This is where copywriters and marketers hook you in. I call this the 1% rule, where the 99% follows. And if you accidentally run over this 1%, then it's almost impossible to avoid the rest, 99%. It's the idea that hooks you in. So if you avoid the first 1%, the hook. If you never come across hooks and start a video right in the middle, your interest level is going to have a drop. Because your mind wasn't prepared with the strong visual. If you block, avoid, ignore, and limit the first 1% of media and hooks, in general, it becomes a hard task to get distracted the way it becomes hard to not be distracted. So, avoid, block, close your eyes to the hooks and the first 1% of any media and you'll be fine. To regress against porn with this unhooking strategy, you just need to replace these hooks and platforms where they are created. Explore pages, flashbacks, thoughts, ideas, curiosity, and uncertainty from any platform. If you still commit to platforms where books are created like Insta, like distracted friends and ideas, it will be really hard to stop. So you need to stop exposing yourself to the top 1% of this funnel, whatever that distraction is, and literally replace it with a new 1% strategy where you do the best thing first. Work, plan, think, create, design, pray, build, and progress for the first 1%, 1 hour of your day. As soon as you hook yourself into something righteous, you will follow up with the day and end it with righteousness the same. This is how you consciously regress porn addiction, the same way you progressed at it in simple words. Follow for more. Check out my page for more info. Check out my personal best routine to flee from porn for the longest time you've ever personally gone.